So Derek Roundsey here. I apologize for the beard, but on my long drive back to school, and as many of us do on long drives, our minds tend to wander and think of different things, or think of things in a different way than we normally do, because we've got a little bit of extra time. And today I was thinking about physician care for patients, and the underlying or overlying theme of wanting to provide the best care for patients and increase the health of patients, better the outcomes for patients, ultimately doing the best we can for patients, and how some things that we may not necessarily be cognizant of or intentionally be doing can have negative outcomes for the patients, more specifically physician waste. So if you think about it, and if you've looked at the literature, health of an individual is defined at best by 20% clinical care. So what you do as a doctor at best can affect your patient's health. 20% of that pie will be 20% of that pie. Another 10 to 15% of that pie is genetics, basically the makeup of your parents, grandparents, your family, lineage, what kind of gets passed down to you through DNA. Another 30% of that are social behaviors, basically what you do, how you act. Do you drink? Do you run? Do you work out? Do you drink a lot of caffeine? Are you getting enough sleep? Mostly kind of whether or not they've been conditioned by the external world. I think of social behaviors are what you have influence on, because it's the decisions you're making and the things that you're putting into your body or doing to your body. And then another big piece of that pie are socioeconomic factors, and that's kind of where you stand in society. You know, how much money you're making, what type of health care can you provide, how's your living situation, how stressful is your life, do you have a lot of stress, and other things like that. And I think of that, while you can do a lot to influence that side, I think of those are more external factors playing a role in your health. So you think about that breakdown, and that gets close to 100%. I may have missed one smaller category, but the one I really want to focus on is that socioeconomic factors. And so as a physician, as we talked about, physician, even a nurse, a tech, physician assistant, nurse practitioner, anybody in healthcare, usually the ultimate goal is to improve the health of your patients, to make them better. And if you keep that model in mind, that at best, with the clinical care that we provide, we can only increase their health or affect 20% of their health. In order to maximize your, you also have to, so with only being such a small piece of that pie, you have to look at those other pieces. And so, getting back to the idea of waste, every napkin, every glove, every scalpel, everything that you use that you don't necessarily need to use, maybe it's just more convenient, or it's just how you like it. You like a clean blade, or you like to have two options when it comes to a hip replacement, or anything like that, different types of sutures, anything that doesn't have a clinical foundation behind it. It's just more or less preferential, and it leads to a lot of waste. When you think about it like that, and the back of that model, that 30% is that about socioeconomic factors, you're leading to a negative impact on your patient's health via that waste, because every amount of waste drives up those costs for those procedures, which will ultimately fall back on that patient, whether they have insurance or not. It'll ultimately fall back on them, and it'll decrease that pot that they have of money to pull from. It'll decrease the amount that they can spend on other things that are essential to their health, maybe like dental work, or their house living situation, or buying better food at the grocery, or healthy food at the grocery. So at the end of the day, that waste does negatively impact their health via, it's not a direct impact, it's more indirect in the outcomes of a decreased pool of money. So just thinking about that, and this will never be to say compromise clinical care in order to save money, because that's not at all the way to go, because then you end up having a negative impact on both as many aspects of our life, the clinical care, and then obviously complications will lead to more expenses, which can have the exact same outcome. But it's just something to keep in mind as physicians, to always second guess yourself. whenever you're walking through something, or you're in the habit, once you've done 1,000 of them, you've got a process down, just to always second guess yourself, is this really necessary? And with that understanding that if it is, great, we want to keep it there because it's best for our patients. But if it's not, it's something that we can improve, or something that we can improve could be a way to decrease that cost and have a positive impact on that other 30% that I talked about of those socioeconomic factors that define health. Once again, not something that you're going to make huge changes in your daily routines, but just something to keep in mind. Save a glove here, a scalpel there, just slowly. And if everybody in the healthcare industry has that same mindset, you'll see big changes and big positive impacts in terms of costs. Have a great day.